morning, everyone.
Morning.
That's it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for the Cynthia Hospice Legacy Meadow and Advanced Care Planning Network breakfast. It's lovely to see you all. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to tell you about our new Legacy Meadow, which is a wonderful way for will makers to remember their loved ones and also think about their own advanced care planning while supporting Cynthia Spencer Hospice. Advanced care planning gives your clients the opportunity to consider and to talk about and to write down their wishes and preferences and priorities about their future care. It's a document that you can provide to your clients to encourage them to think outside of the legal and financial challenges that come with end-of-life care and actually focus on the things that are really important to them at this time. So to tell you more about the advanced care planning, I'd like to introduce you to Amanda Taylor. Amanda Taylor is Cynthia Spencer Hospice's palliative care community nurse specialist, and she would love to talk to you more about the actual advanced care planning document. Amanda, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Anita. Hello, good morning. And when Anita says I'm the community nurse specialist, I'm not the only one for the whole of Northamptonshire. There's a big gang of us. My role is going out into the community, working with people who are coming towards the end of their life, working with people who've got complex symptoms or psychological distress. I also work in the inpatient unit, but my main role is to lead the practice development team, because the hospice are really interested in just not only in the people that are in our four walls, but also about the whole of the population of Northamptonshire. So my job is to educate or work with GPs, district nurses, care homes, domiciliary care agencies, anybody that will listen really, to talk to them and educate them about end-of-life care. The hospice touches a lot of people, but there's a lot of people out there that die that the hospice can't touch. So we try and support the people who are looking after them. Does that make sense? That's sort of my role. A big part of my role is also advanced care planning. So I believe you've got copies of the booklet on your tables. We've got two versions. I don't know whether you've got both versions.
Yeah.
Okay. So one is the standard booklet and the other one is the easy read version. That was designed, we developed the easy read version with the learning disability team, but actually we've found quite a few people like to use the easy read version who haven't got learning disabilities, people with dementia, or just some people just find it easier to use. So you've got both versions. But I wanted to just give you a bit of context really. In Northamptonshire last year, there was around 7,500 people died. That was maybe a little more than was anticipated a few years ago because of COVID, but that's approximately how many people died. And of those, 47% died in hospital and 25% died in their own homes, which is interesting actually, because if you went round the streets of Northampton and asked people where would you prefer to die, most people would say home, but most people are dying in hospital. That's multifactorial, lots of different reasons, and I can't say to you that advanced care planning will make that all better. But what we do know is, if people talk about, think about, and document their preferences, they're much more likely to happen, they're much more likely to get them. So I've done my advanced care plan. I've said I prefer to die at home. I have said, if it gets too hard, do with me what you like, because I wanted to give my family an out. But I really feel very strongly about advanced care planning, and if we can encourage people to talk about it, they're much more likely to get their preferences. This is the definition of advanced care planning. I'm not going to read it out to you. It's just been updated in March because there's a government task force looking at advanced care plan, because it is really seen as the future. To enable people to get their wishes. But just to point out a few things to you, obviously advanced care planning is a voluntary process. People don't have to do it. I eat and drink and breathe and live advanced care planning. My dad will go nowhere near it. Yeah, so some people are up for it, some people aren't. Lots of people don't know it's a thing. I talked to some WI groups pre-COVID, and we had queues of people, and I'm not exaggerating, ladies desperate for an advanced care plan because they didn't know they had a choice, and they really didn't know anybody would listen. Actually, a lady gave me some feedback afterwards. She emailed me and said, "Thank you so much for the advanced care plan. We had an advanced care planning party." I'm not joking. And she said, "We had some Prosecco and we filled out our wishes and preferences." I was a little bit worried because the next bit says you have to have capacity. I wasn't entirely sure they'd stand, but anyway. So, voluntary process of people who have to have capacity because you have to consider the future and set on record for a time that you lose capacity. So, just so we're all coming from the same place. There's 3 arms of advanced care planning that sit under the Mental Capacity Act: wishes and preferences, advanced decision to refuse treatment, and then lasting power of attorney. Basically, I say to people what you do want, what you don't want, and who you want to speak for you. I understand from the audience that you probably have all got a really good grasp of this, but if some people haven't, then that's the essence of advanced care planning. Essentially, we do mostly this. We see some advanced decisions to refuse treatment, but not masses, but we do see them. Wishes and preferences is so important, isn't it? And people think, oh, I thought advanced care plan was about those big medical decisions. Actually, sometimes it's the little things that make such a big difference. Even Prince Philip had a bash at advanced care planning because he designed his hearse, didn't he? So, you know, if the royals can do it, surely we can all have a go. So I wanted to talk to you about advanced care planning and through telling the story of somebody that we cared for at the hospice, okay? This is Aaron. I've changed a few details, obviously. He was a 56-year-old chap who had treatment for bowel cancer over a couple of years. He presented very late. So often people now go on to cure or very much long-term treatment for people with bowel cancer, but unfortunately he did present late. So after 2 years of treatment, his disease escaped control really, and he had advanced disease. He came to us from Northampton General Hospital because they have Macmillan nurses, specialist nurses at Northampton General. He was admitted there as an emergency and then came to us for symptom control and for psychological support. Aaron was a husband, a dad, grandfather, friend, chartered surveyor, and he felt he was losing control. He did lead a very controlled, organised life, and this he felt was he was getting out of control. He had not a lot of influence on what was going on with him. So he actually found advanced care planning was his thing. He could write down and take control of some of the issues that were going on for him. So let me tell you about his advanced care plan. He wanted to stay at home, he wanted to be cared for at home, and he wanted to die at home. And there is a difference, isn't there, between where you want to be cared for, where you want to die. I meet some people who very much want to be cared for at home, maybe younger people. Sorry, the other way around. They want to be cared for at home, but they often want to die in the hospice or the hospital. They don't want to die at home because of their children and such things. But he very much wanted to die at home. That terrified his wife, Andrea. And we had lots of conversations about that, but she didn't, in her eyes, want to let him down. She wanted to look after him. But we were able, because of the resources that we have, to support her with that. So, die at home. I had to put the picture of the pyjamas on because he was really strong about, I'm not having those pyjamas on all day, Amanda. I'm not having people come and look at me. As he would say, they're not all coming to view me and say, look at poor Aaron, he's really ill and in his pyjamas. He was very certain, because he was generally a well-dressed man, he wanted to be dressed well, even on the days when he felt ill, even at the hospice he would get dressed and look really smart. So he wrote, these are the little things that he wrote in his advanced care plan that enabled him, because there was a document, it gave the focus, enabled him to talk to Andrea about those things. That maybe he wouldn't have thought of doing before. As his disease progressed, He had a friend who had previously died who was resuscitated. He knew that resuscitation wouldn't work for him, so he wrote an advanced decision to refuse treatment, and he said he didn't want resuscitating. We know that people who are coming towards the end of their life because they've got advanced disease, on the whole, resuscitation would not be successful. And he knew that, and he didn't want to be put Andrea through that either at home. So that was his wishes and preferences, and his advanced decision to refuse treatment. It gave him an element of control over this time. Oh, I forgot about the bit. He was a real ale drinker, and he said, you know, when I can't barely swallow, stop giving me all those great big tablets that you pour into me. I want some real ale to be my last sip. So that's something that can be done too. So Aaron had a bit of a bumpy journey, as it were. He came in and out of the hospice a few times, but he was cared for by the doctors and nurses there. We've got a family worker at Cynthia Spencer Hospice called Claire, and she was able to provide some resources and actually work with Aaron's grandson to do memory box and such like. We have physiotherapists, occupational therapists. People often think, why have you got all those people in a hospice? Isn't that where people go to die? Well, actually, not everybody that comes to us dies. Lots of people get better, not get better. They improve their quality of life, or their symptoms get better, and then they go home or wherever their place of residence is. So the physio would work with Aaron to get him as strong as possible. We've got a chaplain, and of course we've got volunteers. Now this is a real thing. We have a drinks trolley that comes around the hospice around 5:30 every afternoon, run by our volunteers. We get away with it because alcohol is an appetite stimulant. I know this. Yeah, we can prescribe alcohol. So Aaron did die at home. He was cared for by all of our services. Our hospice at home service, I don't know whether any of you know about hospice at home. Yeah. So some of you do. They care for people who are generally in about the last 4 weeks of life. Rarely do you get 24-hour care in this county, but hospice at home can put a shift into the house for about 3 hours at a time, and they'll help with any care that's required. So hospice at home went in there. Our specialist nurses, so helping to manage those complex symptoms, and that's where he died, being cared for by Andrea. When I talk to people, especially members of the public, or people who are ill, they always say it always seems too soon to do an advanced care plan. But you know, it's always too soon until it's too late. And I would recommend that you all do one. You know, when I talk to patients and to families, and they say, you've got an advanced care plan, why have you got one? And I say, well, I don't know what might happen. I could walk out of here and get hit by a golf ball. You know, anything, anything could happen. So I find it's easier to talk to patients, clients, if I've done one myself. So I would urge you all, if you feel like it, to have a bash. There's also, at the back of the booklet, a part about funeral wishes. So I looked after a chap recently who he gave me the impression he'd find advanced care planning quite helpful, so I gave him a booklet and such like. And then he died suddenly. We weren't expecting him to. And his family rang and they said, you know, did you give him that advanced care planning booklet? And I thought, well, I'm in trouble. And I was like, yes. He said, well, we found it on the kitchen table. And thank you, because he'd filled none of it out except for the back page, which was his funeral wishes. And he wasn't sort of super sick. We weren't envisaging he would die soon. But so they hadn't had any conversation. So moving into, you know, their grief, they felt that this would be really helpful because they carried out his funeral the way he wanted it to. So I'm really happy to take any questions from you. That's all I've got to tell you about advanced care planning, but happy to take any questions if you've got any.
if you do have any questions, if you think about any questions afterwards, then just email Nina. You've got Nina's email address, and we'll pass it on to Amanda. And then we can get back to you. Thank you so much, Amanda.
That's just the reference.
Okay.
An educator never goes anywhere without a reference.
References and resources. So obviously Amanda spoke to you in more detail about advanced care planning, and as we said, you've got some booklets here, but we have plenty of those guides. If it's something that you feel that you could provide to your clients, if it's something that your clients would like to have, then please let us know, and we've got boxes of them, so we'll happily supply you with as many as you need. So Gifts in Wills, which links on to our Legacy Meadow, obviously this funding is vital for Cynthia Spencer Hospice. 1 in 5 of our patients is funded by Gifts in Wills, and we couldn't carry on providing the service that we do without those gifts. And so we needed to come up with something to recognise those people and to really show them how grateful we are for the gifts that they give us, because they need to be remembered sort of now, and we need to show our gratitude. So we came up with a Legacy Meadow. We're very, very proud of this Legacy Meadow, and obviously the first launch is with you guys today, so you're very lucky. We're telling you about this before it goes out publicly. It is, at Cynthia Spencer Hospice, we have a beautiful meadow, woodlands, and it really is a place for sanctuary for those patients, families and friends, even staff and clinicians that use this place to go and just take some time out. The patients are there, they just go walk. We have a beautiful blue meadow this here, which is kind of, everybody knows about it, and we share photos on social media. We can't wait for it to come up. And so people remember the woodlands, the meadow with such fondness. We thought this is the perfect place to do something to recognise those people. So, yes, as I said, this is a very complex drawing, I know, of the Legacy Meadow. So this is our artistic view, and it is, I don't know if you've been there before, but this is the pathway that goes around the meadow, and with the bluebells and such like. And as I say, it's something that kind of stays with people, because during their care and their support, they've more than likely walked around this, or their family and their friends have if they visited. Gives them time to compose themselves and just to be out in the fresh air, and you could just be in just beautiful countryside there. You wouldn't think that you're in the town centre from the fountain. So basically what we are saying now is we're going to launch this campaign that says anybody that has given us a legacy gift in their will in the past, or would like to make a gift in their will now, will be honoured with a forget-me-not flower that will be planted in the meadow. It will have a personalised engraved leaf with a message or a name, so either of the loved one that they've lost, or if it's if it's them that's left us a gift in their will, then we can put their name on it. We can either plant it for them, or if they wish, if it's very special to them and they have special memories of certain places within, a lot of people sort of sit around here and have a coffee, and they might want their flowers to be placed there. So we can make an appointment, they can come along, and we can help them to plant their special flower that will just stay there and remain there and not be moved. So we want these forget-me-not flowers to be very special. We want people, when they walk around the gardens in the future, to know that every flower that they come across represents a hug, a cuddle, a care, to know that someone has been loved. This is a message from someone to say that, they've had care, they're thinking about, they're supporting Cynthia Spencer now and in the future, and that they're not alone. It's not a somber place, it's not, it's a beautiful place, and it's a recognition of loved ones, so they're never forgotten. And also every year we will be looking to hold a virtual event to recognise and to remember all of those flowers. So we will go round, there'll be a video. I know, and you want to walk around that meadow, don't you? The dog was complaining. Oh, I'm nearly finished. So as I say, every gift every flower will receive a leaf that's engraved. They can pick a special spot. We'll have our event in May every year to then just recognise all of those gifts that are very special to us. And obviously what we need from you, if that's okay, is if everybody, if you have any clients that would like to know about advanced care planning, or have told you or telling you that they would like to leave a gift to Cynthia Spencer Hospice, then please do tell them about the Legacy Meadow, because this is new. This is something that we will be shouting about after we've launched it today. It is something that's, we will go back as far as we can go back to all those gifts that we've had from the legators before, because we have relied on that income, and we will talk to the next of kin and the families and offer to put a flower in the gardens, in the meadow. And obviously going forward, anybody that leaves us a gift or lets us know about it, we will do the same. It's very important for us to honour those people in a very special way. But as Amanda was saying, what accompanies this is the advanced care planning document, because it kind of links with the whole kind of planning of your future, and maybe something in your will. And so we would be really, really grateful if you would be kind enough to share about the advanced care planning document as well as the Legacy Meadow. I think that's probably it for now. Thank you. So I don't know if anybody's got any questions about Cynthia Spencer Hospice, the Legacy Meadow, advanced care planning that you would like to ask us at this moment in time.
Yeah. Is there a minimum legacy to possibly in the meadow?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
It's a good question. We did think about that.
Yeah.
And I think, there was sort of discussion whether it should be like a minimum of £1,000 or something, but we don't want to exclude anybody.
Okay.
We've had gifts of £200 before. Generally we know, that a kind of an average gift is £25,000 in a will, which is great. And obviously if we can launch this campaign and get the message out about the Legacy Meadow, and sort of start that conversation as well through advanced care planning document and that information, then it could increase the revenue that we get from that, which is vital for us as we go forward, because there's more requirement for us to provide that service. But because we didn't want to exclude anybody, we have not put a limit. So if someone gives us £200, £50, they will still be honoured in our Legacy Meadow. Any other questions? Thank you. I'm conscious of time. I'm very, very grateful that you come here today. And thank you, Amanda, for telling us about the advanced care planning document. I hope you have enjoyed your breakfast and your tea. It was lovely to meet you all. And if you want any more of the advanced care planning document, we have plenty. Please let us know, and we will gladly get a box across to you as soon as possible. If you could hand them out to your clients, if you feel comfortable to do that, if your clients are happy to receive them, then that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May get on with your days. Thank you.